Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
Hey guys. Oh, I was just checking that it had actually gone live. Because everything looked a bit different to normal. Oh, did you see that? So I had unplugged my setup and moved it around, and I had to plug it all back in, and now everything feels incredibly bright. Let's do this. I actually got some, let's see, cancel that. I'm going to need to get, okay, hang tight, moving it back a bit. I don't know why it's so bright. I'm going to need to just re-grab the document because I closed it. One sec. That's still so bright. Also, I've got a new chair, but I'm not sure if I'm like 100% sold on it yet. Excuse me. So, it's still in plastic. So if you hear plastic scratching, that's why. Where did I put this episode? What date are we on? 9th of June. Oh no. Hey Sim. I bet you the tissue. Let's see how it goes. There is a fair chance I might need to run and grab a tissue and play some music. So I've got eucalyptus above me, and I hadn't figured out yet why I constantly feel like stuffy in this room, like allergy-ish. And I think it's that. I've been all right. I've been off sick for the last week, and I needed the rest because I'm feeling so much better now. I say that as I'm like sniffy, but I'm sure it's the eucalyptus. I'm sure if I just switched it out for something else, I'd feel better. But I really like it. It's that penny gum. Also, it's frustrating me that is like that. Anyway, let's go over to here. And then that one. And then if we zoom in and go like that. How have you been, Sim? Haven't seen you in a bit. I might have to put a little bit of royalty-free music here because I think I am going to have to get a tissue. Let's see, is this absolutely awful? Let me first check if I'm going to have to. What does it say? Attribution is not required. Giving credit to blah, 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 blah. You may download it for free. Awesome. This looks like a good one. Let's say share this tab instead. We're going to go for, what is alternative? Is it going to be like punk rock? Not that kind of Sunday. Oh no. Copyright free music, but like seriously, that outfit? Are you kidding me? Oh, these genres. It's hilarious. By the time I find one that's not like absolutely awful, I'm not going to need a tissue anymore. Oh, this is bad. Right. I was just looking for something that's like, I was looking for something that's, I don't know, just like something I can quickly put on and then go and grab a tissue and come back. How's this? Okay, BRB. Oh. Oh, that was a bit better than raw. Caught up on Karen Reed? I'm not caught up, actually. You just reminded me. I've had a very busy weekend being a tourist here because my cousin is here from the UK. No more loop. My cousin's here from the UK, so I've been showing him Cape Town, and that was so fast. No, we live in small houses here, I think, in comparison to the US. Also, hey, Brandy. So quick fast. When I see like US posts of tiny houses, I'm like, that's a normal size house to us. Like, it's not double story, bathrooms literally across from my office. And I did the classy thing and grabbed a toilet roll instead of tissues. I'm actually going to share the StreamYard link. If you want to jump on, feel free to. I do have a disclaimer. Where did I put it, though, is the question. No, seriously? PDF? Anything as a PDF here? There we go. My son would say you did the absolute right thing. I mean, like, if we're honest, tissues are really just toilet rolls already torn up. Like, what a waste. What an absolute waste. And like, it's just another thing to remember to buy. And if it's memory, I'm not here for it. So if you missed the first few minutes, I basically, because my cousin was here, he stayed in my office. That there is a sleeper couch. So I took this whole setup down, and then I was initially thinking of doing it in the kitchen so that I could multitask. But then I decided to set it up here. So now the setup is all like weird and wonky. And also I'm fiddling with my hair because I have one hair pulling. You know that feeling of just one. Okay, let me present, share screen, 9th of June, back to this. Maybe make it a bit bigger. And then you know what? I can actually can put this here. Because then I can make this full screen and I'll still see, yes, I'll still see the comments on my phone. Okay, wait, did I play the thing already? I don't think I played the thing. Well, let's play it again anyway.
2, 3, 4. Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
I figured it out. I figured out what's different. My ring light. I packed away my ring light. That's why everything looks different. Okay. Is it my... Oh, guess what? I can't scroll when I'm in full screen. Okay. Is it my ADHD or am I just a crappy person? TLDR. Am I a jerk for expecting a bit of leeway and changes in behavior from family and friends to make me more comfortable despite my ADHD symptoms? I really struggle with Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to teach you something. This is what, not the arms, but it works. This is what you do. This is what you do before you have to do a talk. So stretch your arms up and then like that, back so that your shoulders click if they need to click. And then like you put your arms down the back and squeeze it together so that your chest is like opened up. And then you got to go until it feels kind of like they're numb. And then you go the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. Or you can do, what was the other one? Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. But you got to like overdo it. So your face is like red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. Okay, I should be able to read better now. Here's hoping. Okay. Is it my ADHD or am I just a crappy person? TLDR, too long didn't read. Am I a jerk for expecting a bit of leeway and changes in behavior from family and friends to make me more comfortable despite my ADHD symptoms? I really struggle. Sorry, I'm just going to set this like this quick. I really struggle with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, RSD, and emotional regulation. I'm quick to put up barriers because I often feel threatened by the implications in language. I genuinely believe that if people approach me in a way that respects and understands this, with a bit of light validation that I'm not at fault, my experiences would be much more positive and I would be more pleasant to interact with. I can't control my reactions to things, but people can control how they interact with me. Oh, I don't like that start already. I'm really struggling and often question my relationships with those around me. In the past, I've tried talking about this with my family, but they respond with things like, well, I won't walk on eggshells around you. And if I have something to say, I'll say it regardless of how you react. That's your problem. My boyfriend is more understanding, but it takes an argument and a fit of crying for him to recognize my pain as legitimate enough to warrant a change in how he approaches certain topics. My ADHD is a recent discovery and I'm currently undergoing assessment. This is very new to me and I'm learning a lot about ADHD. I feel it's my responsibility to educate everyone around me. It's hard enough for me to process everything without the added pressure of defending myself every time I encounter unhealthy or triggering behaviors. They forgot to say, am I the rascal? Let's do that. And then, hey, Sim, wait, let me add you to the stage. Sim, can you hear me? And can I hear you?
I can hear you.
Hey, I can hear you really well.
Okay. Then I guess
Okay.
that fixed my problem.
Okay, so I have to do this. Guest disclaimer. Welcome to my podcast. I am thrilled to have you as a guest and look forward to a great conversation. This was written by ChatGPT, just a reminder. To ensure the show remains enjoyable and respectful for all listeners, I kindly ask you to adhere to the following guidelines. 1. No swearing. It's just getting annoying. Respectful dialogue. Okay, here's the part where you join in. You got to raise your right hand. This is my left. Pretend it's my right. And then you have to repeat after me. I say your name here.
Say your name here.
Oh, that's funny. I solemnly swear not to swear.
Solemnly swear not to swear, but never mind. I'm not going to. That's redundant.
That was the point. It was supposed to be funny. Solemnly swear not to swear. Yeah. Not to be offensive or inappropriate during the recording.
Not to be offensive or inappropriate during the recording on purpose.
Fair enough. I will be respectful and considerate.
I will be respectful and considerate.
And will engage without offensive or discriminatory remarks.
And will engage without offensive or discriminatory remarks. So help
on
me, Supreme Being.
So I obviously did this because of all the court watching. I was like, oh, imagine the beginning of a podcast, you just basically have to do the same thing as they do in court. I think it'd be so funny. So I typed it up and I was like, well, what is the first thing I'd say? I solemnly swear not to swear. Like any ADHD person's going to be like, hold on, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah. Problem is, former sailor. So some stuff may slip out, but if you catch me, yell at me and kick me. Okay.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay. So do you want to, I don't want to put you on the spot with like, tell me something interesting about yourself. If you want to just give like a brief introduction, and in whatever way is not going to dox yourself.
Okay. Pretty much the name alone is pretty dox proof because it was set up as a way not to be able to go into things and not get doxed. It's not really attached to me in any way. Like I said, former Navy, so I might be a little crass. in that also medical field, so I may be a little bit dark humored.
Oh, I love that.
And after I got out of the Navy, I went and got my Associates of Applied Science and Paralegal Studies. So that's where the legal part comes in. But that was about worthless. That the education was, I would say, kind of worthless, because I went and did an internship at the local public defender's office, and hardly did anything I was trained to do in that class really didn't apply to what I was doing in my internship.
Well, that's not surprising. I think it's the same in medical. Like with my cousin being here and doing medical things, we were talking about like practical versus textbook, and it was kind of like, well, practical is very different because it's not going to pan out how it does in a textbook. That's just not how it goes.
Yeah, that's true. CPR is a classic one. You know, how they train you and how you get certified is not how you do it in real life. There's a lot more to the chest compressions, you know. Well, you do so many, you do it at this rate. Well, if you listen, there's stuff like you do it to the beat of Staying Alive.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Do it as fast as you can, because the idea is to keep the blood circulating.
That's right. Like you got to.
Now, if I could just figure out how to watch this on YouTube without getting the, is there a way I can mute this one? Oh, wait, it might be.
So I generally have my phone with YouTube on, and then I mute my phone.
Okay.
Okay, let me catch up on comments quick. Thanks, Samantha. You're literally the only person who can control your own reactions. Yup, some DBT needed there. A bit of crying as legitimate enough. That was a big one for me too. Like, you have to cry and then he understands. Bit weird. Nuggle, you're an unhealthy. Did you mean you're in unhealthy or triggering behavior? Or like as a whole, she is. Your boyfriend is a red flag. Agreed. Guess what, Vicky? I may be doing the medical or fire side of dispatch here soon for the Air Force Base. Thought you'd appreciate that. Oh, that'll be so fun. I mean, like, when I was doing reporting, fire was, I really like reporting on fires. They're incredibly sad, but fire itself is just so fascinating. It's so, like, if it's not harming people, it's incredibly beautiful. So I always used to be the fire person. Okay, so Sim. What was my question? What rough region in the US are you in? You don't have to be like super specific.
Great Lakes.
Okay. I think I know what that is, but I think I've written about it, but I can't do geography. So there's that. I'm just looking for this thing. I can't find the song I was using for us to think about what's happening. So just pretend. Right. What is what is that thing called? Verdict.
What is the verdict?
What is the verdict? I'm voting that everybody sucks. That's my verdict. Boyfriend sucks. Family sucks. You shouldn't be masking around your family. You should be able to be yourself. They're responsive. We shouldn't have to walk on eggshells. I don't think that's a great response. I think they could be more supportive. But I don't like the original poster's attitude either. I don't like that, and I understand this is where this whole podcast was born. When you first find out about your ADHD and you're like, well, all of my bad behaviors can kind of be traced back to ADHD. This is not one of those times. Brandy also says everyone sucks here. Yep. That's how I'm seeing it. I think boyfriend is a problem. That's a big one. I want to refresh my memory. My boyfriend is more understanding, but it takes an argument and a fit of crying for him to recognize my pain as legitimate enough to warrant a change. That wording for me, that's red flags. Your feelings should be legitimate enough without you having to essentially have a grown-up tantrum. Because, like, why do you have to have an argument? Why can't you have a discussion? Why can't you talk about it like grown-ups? Also, I don't think they said their age. Maybe they're not quite grown-ups yet. Like,
do I get to play the devil's advocate here?
Go for it.
Probably, and this is my perspective on this, is probably the reason is because every time they're using the ADHD to justify how they're acting, and the guy's kind of, it's not always that. There's other things involved, and blaming it on that. That's why it has to ramp up to the point that, you know, you're getting upset and crying, and that for him to recognize, hey, it really is a thing this time. It's not just the everyday, well, this bothers me, you know.
That is a really good point. Also, I put a content warning with grown-up language, so you don't have to be like super stressy.
Okay.
I don't want, like, the last thing that should happen on an ADHD podcast is people should be filtering themselves. Like, that's so counterintuitive. Like, the thing is, we're unfiltered. That's part of the problem. That's how we landed up on this podcast. Here we go. But that is actually a really good point. So potentially, because everything seems like a big deal, it's hard for him to gauge when it is a big deal or when it's one of those, like, life is tough and everything's a big deal.
Yeah, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah. So I had almost the opposite situation, because when, like, the environment that I grew up in, if you cried during an argument, you're being manipulative and you're trying to win by crying. So as soon as I get frustrated or cry, I'm like, oh, I'm trying to win this by crying, even if I'm not. So, like, I generally will avoid getting to that point, or, like, if I can feel that I'm about to cry, I'll go to the bathroom and try to, like, hide the fact. So it's not like I want to win this argument. It's not like something that I use as a way to get through. And so I think I'm maybe a little bit harsh on it, because that's kind of what I thought was normal until I was in therapy and was like, yo, am I manipulating someone by crying in an argument? Because it feels like I am.
Well, if you think you're crying may be manipulating, then it probably isn't. Because if, you know, if you're like, hey, if I cry, I can win this argument. All right, now you're manipulating it, you know.
Yeah.
You just cry, and then you wonder, you know, it's like, am I the asshole? Well,
yeah. The reason I laugh is because it's a bit like, I remember at one stage I was like, if I go crazy, like, am I going crazy? Is it happening and I don't know? And someone said to me, if you were going crazy, you wouldn't ask that question. You'd think you're normal. So I think you can stop stressing that you're going crazy. Like, crazy people don't go, oh, am I going crazy? I better stop it. Like, that's just how they are and where they're at.
I don't know. If hey, I'm having some problems, does that, you know, I'm having some mental issues, I may need help. Does that qualify?
Oh, that's not what I'm meaning by crazy. I meant, like, am I actually, like, I'm not like I'm going into psychosis. Like I am losing my mind, but not like depression. Like I'm cooked. Probably more along the lines of what Brandy's saying. Exactly. I heard on Dr. G panel once, if you admit you're a narcissist, then you aren't one. They'll never admit it. That's kind of like, I was more in the realm of like, do I have some personality issues or like is something wrong? And it's like, well, no, if you ask that, you're probably fine. Probably. Also, just to clarify, I always ask my therapist these questions as well, just to double check, like, not just someone who doesn't want to be nasty to me. Like, listen, you're a paid professional. I need you to be honest. If I am being a bit of whatever way, you're going to need to be the one to tell me. Okay, I'm going to go on to the second one. It's fairly similar, but it's from the other side. How's it showing? Let's see. I'm actually just going to do this for now so that the banner's out the way. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend I don't care about her ADHD? Girlfriend, 28 female, and I, 24 female, have moved in together in February. She has ADHD that she is medicated and goes to therapy for. I've known this since before we started dating and did my best to educate myself on how to help her cope with the challenges. However, ever since we moved in together, the challenges have gotten worse. She never cleans or does any of the chores. She often leaves containers to grow mold in the fridge until I've started checking every single one daily to see if anything is spoiled. If she puts a dirty dish in the sink, it will stay there forever until I clean it. I bought a dishwasher, but she won't load it due to her executive dysfunction. She won't take out the trash either or do her laundry. It's tiring, but I figured she must be suffering from work stress, so stepped up to help out. But the incident that has made me lose it, so they had a typo there, that made me lose it is the following. More than 5 times now, she has put something on the stove and walked away to be on her phone until whatever she is cooking set off the fire alarm. My stove has a timer on it that you set for however long you want, and it will shut the stove off after the set time has passed. I've shown her how to use it over and over again so that if she walks away, the stove will simply turn itself off. She never has. I've also brought a ringing timer, but she rarely uses it. Finally, I told her to text me when she wanted to cook if she was worried she'd get lost on her phone so that I can text her a reminder or call her. Well, yesterday I came back home to the fireman in front of our building because she had put a frying pan with oil in it on the stove and forgot about it while she scrolled TikTok until it caught on fire and burned down half of our kitchen. I was very concerned for her and made sure she was uninjured, but I got mad after she didn't even apologize. All she said was, "You shouldn't be mad. This stuff happens, and you know it's my ADHD. I can't help it." This is when I told her that I don't care about her ADHD, that I cared about us pretty much being homeless now, and that I had just lost a security deposit for the apartment, which was 3 times the monthly rent money because she refused to use any of the solutions I offered and all the accommodations I've tried to make. She got very upset and left, and I couldn't stop her because the landlord had just arrived at the scene and was pissed. It's been a day now, and I'm pretty sure she has blocked me, as well as made multiple posts citing me being an uncaring "see you next Tuesday" toward the mentally ill. I've had a couple of mutual friends and her sister reach out, calling me insensitive and saying that I revealed my true colors and dehumanized her. Sorry for that emphasis, but wow. And that I'm putting the money above caring for my girlfriend. Even the friend that I'm crashing with told me that I shouldn't have snapped at her, that by saying I don't care about her ADHD, I've given her lifelong trust issues when it comes to future partners. So Reddit, am I the deluded rascal here? Okay, I'm not going to read the update yet because I don't want to see like the spoilers. Let's do that. Okay. I'm going to start with Brandy's message that says he's unintentionally, so I think they're both female. So I'm going to change it to she's unintentionally enabling. She's taking advantage. Side note, I literally will not leave the kitchen and only keep a radio on so I don't burn anything. Sim, do you want to give yours first and then I'll give mine? I feel like mine's still brewing a little bit.
Well, I was assuming it was a male bag. It doesn't matter on gender, really. It's the non-affected one has tried to put remedies in place. Now, I don't know how much the other person is trying to use these remedies or if they're just blowing the remedies off. But when you start burning down houses and buildings, yeah, that's a whole nother level, you know. As for the mutual friends and sister, you have her live with you for a while. And do you see this stuff? Do you see this stuff, or is it just me that this is happening to? You know,
I am
the sister's probably
exactly
a little more used to it. Sister might be a little more used to it, but you know, take a walk a mile in my moccasins.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, if it's not so concerning to you that there was a literal fire at the house, then I think they need to live with you. Here, this is where I was like, hold on. She never cleans or does any of the chores. She often leaves containers to grow mold in the fridge until I've started checking every single one daily to see if anything's spoiled. She puts a dirty dish in the sink. It will stay there forever until I clean it. I bought a dishwasher, but she won't load it due to executive dysfunction. So then they step up. So already there, they should have had a conversation. And I say this because we're both ADHD in the relationship I'm in. And Vaughn is tidy, needs things to be, he needs his systems to be his best self. I am messy. I have systems, but they might not make sense to other people. Like when I lived alone, I'd be messy Monday to Saturday, but Sunday I would clean the place like the Queen was visiting. And that worked for me. But for him, living in that environment, Monday to Saturday meant his brain literally could not function at the level that he needed it to. So we had to have that conversation. And what we came up with was a chores list. And you know what? Doesn't matter how old you are, a chores list is actually a smart thing because we had it on rotation and kind of realized, like, we started off with both of us putting down everything we do that maybe we don't mention. Like, I don't know, a bit of a random one, but you clean a toilet with a toilet brush. Who cleans the toilet brush? You know, like those kinds of like really tiny things. So we made a list of all of that. And then we put it on a rotation of a few days, a few weeks, blah, blah, blah. Eventually figured out that there were chores that I hated that he didn't mind doing. And there were chores that I didn't mind doing that he hated. And so now we both kind of have our things that we do. But we also, if one is busier than the other, will pick up some extras for that week and it'll balance itself out. As soon as it's only one doing it, you're parenting. You're not in a relationship. Like, if only one person is doing everything to run the house and also has to worry about leaving a person unattended with a stove, that's a child. That's not a partner. You are literally being their parent. What's going to happen if they live on their own? They're going to have to figure it out. Like, the one that had the house fire is 28. The one doing the parenting is 24. Their brain hasn't even finished developing properly yet. And they're being the grown up. Like, that's not healthy at all. Not to mention, like, deposit. It is like such a waste of resources for the firemen to have to come out because you refuse the systems that could have worked. Like, I would love to have a timer on the stove. That's genius. Why don't they build all stoves with that?
Because it would make the stoves cost more.
But less than a fire.
Yeah, or just have it. Okay, it'll only run for half hour, and then it'll shut down. And 5 minutes before it shuts down, it starts beeping so that you can get up off your butt and go press a button. Hey, ignore that. Pause that.
Exactly.
Because I realize, but don't know.
I'm gonna just share a link. This is I'll try to remember to put it in the description as well. But this is a platform that I actually couldn't use as much because a lot of people were in the US, but it's essentially like body doubling. So some people, nearly every single person that I had a focus session with was either ADHD or on the spectrum. And it was a lot of like getting around executive dysfunction. So there was a lady that I had a few sessions with where she sets it for the morning so that she can do like a morning routine, and she has to show up for the session. And she basically just like logs in, says what she's going to get done, turns her camera off, turns her mic off, goes about things. At the end of the session, she's like, cool, I'm ready for the day. Thank you. Carries on. There was another lady that I had a few sessions with where, because she hates phoning, she books the Focus Mate session and then says, I'm going to phone X, Y, and Z. And then by the end of the session, she's done it because she just needs someone like sitting there, not talking. And like, even if this person has to book a 25-minute session to have a body double to wash the dishes or something, like they are an adult. It is not up to their partner to give more than 3 solutions. Like there were 3. Half blue, half black hair, the ADHD couple. Dubby. What's it? Is that who's Focus Mate? Are they ADHD themselves? Because that would make so much sense. Wait, I can't see who's... Who are the people? Or is Dubby an app? Okay, Brandy, I'm confused. Is Dubby like Focus Mate? As in like body doubling Dubby? Because I really enjoyed Focus Mate, but like if there aren't people in my time zone. Okay, Dubby is the app. Dubby. Oh, this is... Hold on. This is an energy drink. I think I got the wrong one. Dubby, let's say Focus. Okay, that feels like a rabbit hole that needs to be... Pause, finding link. Okay, Brandy, you're gonna have to send it to me on Facebook because the link will be deleted by YouTube. Let's see. Gosh, I have to actually like remember to go onto Facebook. And then every time I do, I see there's so much chat history is missing. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so Sim, might as well ask just in the meantime, are you ADHD diagnosed, undiagnosed, have ADHD friends, family?
Actually, I was looking that up, what my diagnosis was years and years ago. That really didn't do anything. Never did anything with. And that's kind of a whole long
The rabbit hole.
Long story. something wasn't right, and my dad didn't like it. Mainly that I had very bad penmanship, and it never seemed to improve. So he had me tested, and trying to think what it actually was. One is actually the ancient term for ADHD, and the other one that I thought was, God, looking on Wikipedia right now, and it seems like ADHD adjacent type stuff.
Okay.
So that's why, I mean, people talk about ADHD, and some of the stuff is like, I recognize that, but then I look at back when I was diagnosed, ADHD wasn't even a thing back then.
Yeah. So in age ranges, I don't want to like ask questions and then you're like, damn, this is a bit like, this isn't a therapy session, but like age ranges, which market group do you fit in?
Oh, let's see here. How do I do this without doxing?
Or like, who did you listen to growing up as music?
Pink Floyd?
Because I think that's okay. So yeah, so then like that was kind of when
60s to 70-ish, 60s to 70s.
Yeah. So that around that time as well was when all of the studies were very like hyperactive specific, and like something like poor penmanship, like now that's very clear. It's fine motor skills. Fine motor skills are a classic example of potentially having ADHD. Like that's super clear now. But back then it might be like, oh, you didn't focus, or you didn't, you're messing around, or whatever, like random thing that they decided. But now that would be enough to be like, yeah, probably should get tested. Might as well.
Yeah, but it's funny because my dad's a doctor, and if you've seen how doctors write.
Yeah.
And he's complaining about my penmanship.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, well, yeah, it doesn't look like the doctor's scrawl, but it's just as readable as yours. If I didn't know what I was looking for in your signature, I couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah. So my cousin's here doing, he's graduated from med school. He's doing his like articles, whatever, it's not articles, but whatever the medical version of articles is, right? And someone sent me a doctor's note, and I was like, can you read this? And he's like, no, actually, we can't read each other's, by the way. I was like, that's not really any good, because if you fill everything out manually, doctors literally do have the worst handwriting. If you can't all read each other's, how are we supposed to read it? How are we supposed to know what you're talking about?
You're not.
Just in case, for insurance purposes, allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, how many pharmacists do you think call up doctors' offices? And what is this? And then they probably have to go in and actually see what the typed up or the dictation says.
Well, he got like I think he landed up looking at like roughly the middle and the end, and then asked me what had the symptoms been. And then I said the symptoms, and he's like, okay, then it's probably this is this.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, but that's just you like informally diagnosing. Like if someone were to tell me they had this and this, I'd give them this. That's not you reading the writing.
Exactly. But you can pick out certain letters. So probably the first letter of the medication is an M. Okay. Well, and it's that long, so okay, maybe Motrin, and that's the brand name for ibuprofen. So,
Got you.
So then, okay. And then the diagnosis is, knee sprain. Okay. This makes sense,
Yeah.
And if you're not sure, you call up the doctor's office and you ask, hey, this person can't read the writing. Oh, okay.
What a waste of resources. What I wanted to ask is, with things like the Navy, I'm guessing because like this is a complete outsider perspective and might even be 100% wrong, but the stereotype is like big man, no mental illness. Is that like, do you think that like contributed to you not digging in? Also, not a therapy session, just like general question.
What do you mean, not digging into what I had?
Yeah, like
Oh, no.
you knew about the diagnosis and then you kind of left it, and now that you're older, you're like, maybe, or was it just like,
Oh, no. When I was joining up, they were trying to force me in some fields I was not interested in. So I actually pulled that out of my back pocket to put a hold on the thing. And that starts a whole, well, we got to know what this is. Because the people that are doing it had no idea what it was. And I kind of counted on that. You don't know what this is. And so that took about another 2 months. But yeah, I used it, and then it doesn't show up anywhere in the official paperwork.
oh, that's helpful, because like if it had shown up and you had used it as like, it's kind of like when I travel, I wear an arm brace because I do have weak wrists, but people just don't want to help. I'm 157, so I'm about 5 foot. I can't lift suitcases above my head in a plane. No one ever wants to help, so I wear an arm brace. However, what happened was I wore the arm brace, subsequently pushed my bag along with my left knee. Now my left knee is hurt, my wrist is fine. Like, joke's on me for using it as a thing to get out of something else. But like,
Yeah,
now I'm going to be the one who pays.
yeah, my grandfather would always carry his cane with him when he went on the airplane. That way he gets board first. He didn't
That's
need
brilliant.
it. He didn't need it most of the time. But it was, he had to bring it along anyhow. And he goes, well, gets me seated first. Okay.
Colm, I think you're new here. I haven't seen you. You said, now I'm here. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. And then Raymondo says, now I'm there. I'm guessing because Colm said, now I'm here. Let me pull up my content warning again. Back to comments. I want to read the update quickly, but I'm not going to share the screen because it's not like that. It's not that intense that you need to read with, I don't think. Thank you for all the comments, especially the lengthy ones. This has been a very informative even, thread about how different people deal with ADHD and the different safeguarding and mitigation techniques and methods used in daily life to deal with the challenges that come with this neurodivergency. I have chosen not to continue this relationship as my ex-girlfriend's Facebook posts have now devolved into lesbophobia against me for some reason, which further confirms what a lot of you have expressed, that a lot of issues weren't her ADHD, but simply her not being a very nice and responsible person. I suspect she may have come across this post and it set her off. As a final note, I would like to say that reading about the many accomplishments many of you have made happen while fighting this very challenging disability are to be celebrated. And to those who are still struggling, I hope you find the correct coping methods that suit you and make your life a bit more fair. Please consult the comments. Many people have mentioned many things that personally work for them. With that, I wish you all a good evening and thank you. So I didn't want to read that because it kind of gives away like what happens. And essentially they broke up because it turned out that the girlfriend was an a-hole and just kind of deep dived into the a-holeness further when that happened. And now this person has gone on a learning journey and will probably still have some trust issues with the neurodiverse side of life for a while, but at least they know that it wasn't them that was in the wrong, and that anyone backing the fire-setting girlfriend up who are also in the a-hole camp. Oh, there's a nice little song going on. Around, round, and around. In the comments there. Also, Dubby is only an app, so I added the link, but wait, I know this girl. I follow her on TikTok. Wait. I follow her on TikTok. He asks her things, and then like the one I watched recently was them talking about unpacking a suitcase. Like, just got home from the trip, need to unpack the suitcase. Let's see what's happening, you know. And she's like, no, that's not happening. I'll do that in a year when I travel again. Thanks. And that is so relatable to me. I just want to check here because it says original post. I don't want to accidentally. Okay. Share this tab instead. I think we're all voting the same thing for that one. And that was absolutely resounding stinky poo bum. I think is what they put the banner when everyone votes that the other person sucks. I saw it the other day and I was like, that I've not noticed that before. It's like activating poo mode or something relatively childish that I enjoyed. Okay. Am I the a-hole for telling my spouse that having ADHD isn't an excuse to most employers? Oh my gosh, this makes me feel old. Recently, I was having a textual conversation, with my wife, and she was talking about how being diagnosed with ADHD means employers legally have to make accommodations for you to complete your work. Now, I'm not very educated on ADHD or mental divergencies in general, but in my working experience, I've never really experienced many accommodations. Also, this person keeps spelling accommodations wrong, and it's frustrating me, but anyway. Accommodations being set for any disabilities or divergencies, mental or physical. It's mostly been about daily production, and if you don't hit that number, they will find a way to get rid of you legally without discrimination, in inverted commas, and be very daunting to fight in court. I said, and warned to be considerate if it's something she'd actually want to tell her employers versus finding alternate ways to explain or handle why some days are really high production and some are very low, but average to be higher than her co-workers. To my understanding, she was feeling like I personally think ADHD isn't an excuse for low production and that I'm kind of dumping on her divergency by saying this stuff, and she has a legal right to accommodation and her feelings or expectations are valid. I, of course, think her feelings and expectations are valid. I, however, think that we're at least a good 20 to 60 years, that's a big gap, away from most jobs, not including discriminatory behavior in daily function. I've told her this after in person, but she's still cold and numb. I'm very sad things are like this right now, and I can see why that stuff might be hard to hear. Maybe I should have never said it and flipped it into a more positive, progressive enthusiast. I feel terrible, leaning towards I'm the a-hole and really hope I can fix this with my wife and be a better husband. I love how Coleman and Raimundo are just like having a full-blown back and forth of a Queen song. Like, would it even be an ADHD Sunday evening without like a whole different conversation happening on the side? I'm pretty stoked we've stayed in the general theme. It's quite unusual for this sort of situation. But I do appreciate that. Colm, you can stick around. And you guys are welcome to have lyrics going in the comments. I don't mind. And the algorithm certainly doesn't, because it loves constant comments like one after the other like that. And I'm just being honest. Okay, this person, I didn't think I'd agree. I didn't want to agree. And I felt like they were being a bit harsh at first. But in a lot of ways, they are right. And it is too employer dependent, in my opinion, to take the gamble. Now, I started off in my job as a freelancer, and thanks to my lack of impulse control, randomly one day blurted out about my ADHD. And I mean, like, I'm thankfully, one of my symptoms, I guess, is that I have to be a high performer because I'm scared of being rejected. So I perform extremely well, and I'm harder on myself on the lower productive days than any boss will generally be on me. But if I hadn't started off as a freelancer and then moved to full time with the understanding, like, yo, I have ADHD, and sometimes things will go in different priorities and orders and whatever, I don't think I would be honest and tell my employer, because I would be worried that it would be used against me, but under the cloak of something else, like performance reviews, or I don't know. I have trust issues with that. And not everyone's going to make accommodations. Like, I don't know where these people are, but in South Africa, you don't get accommodations for that.
Well, what would be an accommodation for it?
So, for example, I know, like, with university, say the deadline, and I think it's a terrible accommodation, by the way, say the deadline is Monday, the 10th of June. If you have diagnosed ADHD and you need accommodations, that could be that yours is due on the 12th, which, like, let's be honest, every single person who has ADHD would probably be doing it on the 11th anyway. So instead of doing it on the 9th, they're doing it on the 11th. Another one would be like, if you struggle with writing a lot, you might have a scribe. If you there was another thing I just thought of. You can have like a prompt. So like someone that like comes and like taps on your shoulder and says, hey, you lost focus, come back. But like in the workplace, I think it would be largely on deadlines and timelines, which should never be shifted because we're just going to work around them.
Yeah, to me, that comes under time management. It's like, I know I have this condition. I know I tend to procrastinate.
Yeah.
I mean, an accommodation literally in a university may be, okay, you have like, say, half the semester to get this paper done. Every week, I want you to turn in the progress you're making on it. So the instructor seeing you're working on, he's forcing you to not do it at the end. And
yeah, that would actually be like
same date. And then meanwhile, if you just keep picking up on it, you know, okay, hey, now today's not a productive day. All right, well then don't work on it. Work on your productive days and get a lot done. And
yeah,
it's more of a burden on you per se, but it forces you to fit the timeline. Now, I don't know a college instructor that will bitch you out because you get it out, or that you get it done early.
Oh, no, they won't.
Actually, I know of one, but that's an outlier.
I was actually just thinking, like, when I was in high school, my English teachers because English was my favorite, and I love writing, obviously, as my job. And so I would hand in an essay, and then because I'd handed in with more time than needed, they would mark it and give it back to me, and then I could make the changes and hand it in again and get a better mark. And that was like the perfect motivation for me to get things done earlier, because it was like, well, if you handed it in to me today, you could get 85 instead of 75, or 85 instead of 65. And that feedback, and then seeing the improvement, because hey, I handed it in early, now I get to see the thing that like the reward, that was perfect. But I also know that if someone said, I'm going to monitor weekly, what's going to happen is every time before I have that meeting, I'm going to quickly get it done, get the week's work done. That's like, and I'm going to get it done in like an hour instead of 8. I just know, like, as soon as that panic station, there was actually a TED talk where the guy said the panic monster kicks in. That's exactly how my brain works. Like, oh, deadline, panic, gets it done perfectly, happy days. But leading up to that, I'm going to be thinking about the deadline the whole time and just not being able to actually do it.
But still,
Raymondo says, sorry, I just quickly want to read this before I forget. I don't know your biography, but did you mention rehab in a previous upload? Probably. I have to my diagnosis story. I keep forgetting, and it's sitting there ready to be filmed. I've written it, everything, but I need to film it. Basically, what happened was I, in summary, was incorrectly diagnosed with bipolar, put on meds for people who have epileptic fits, lost an obscene amount of weight that I couldn't afford to lose at the time. And then had to have my wisdom teeth taken out. The anesthetist was like, yo, this medication's wrong for you, you need to get off it. But because it was messing with my brain, I had to go into a clinic so that as I transitioned through meds, I didn't land up, and I just wanted to monitor that because that's a big side effect of those meds. And while I was in the clinic, and I was like, hey, my drinking is probably a problem. And I was diagnosed with ADHD and OCD and something else that I've forgotten. And so, yeah, I guess it wasn't like stereotypical rehab. I was only in for a week. But once I came out, haven't had alcohol since. So I guess in a way, with more of like a understanding why I was avoiding life problems with alcohol indirectly. It was just like a happy part of it that once I came out, because like I'd had a problem for a while, just binge drinking, not like waking up in the morning. But I hadn't seen it. Like I would try to stop, but I wouldn't know like why I couldn't. And ADHD was one of the big ones that kind of tipped the psychiatrist off to it. Was like, hey, impulse control, emotional dysregulation. Now you've landed up here for a week because of potential burnout, not being able to say no, etc., etc., etc. Have you ever considered you might have ADHD and maybe you're drinking because you don't know how to feelings? You're right there, Sim? Sounded like you took a tumble.
No, I was just had to go get something to drink, and I don't know how to mute and all that stuff on my end.
Oh, no worries. I see there's also an update for this one. So I'm going to give the update, and then I'm going to have to jump off because it is 9:15, and this is very exciting, but I was talking about chores earlier. Our bins have to go out on Mondays, so we have to empty the bins. And then we kind of try to start the week with like a pretty decent house, tidied, etc. So I'm going to read the update. I think I probably should share the screen because it looks like a relatively long one. Also, Raimundo, I hope that answered your question. You say, I understand. I too am a girl who just can't say no. Raymondo, I don't want to be presumptive, but I did think you were male. Probably because my brain did not click that your profile picture is actually not you. Pretty obvious now, though, that it's not, now that I look at it. Can you see the update? Yes. Update and background. Thank you all so much for your input. Between the varied feedback, I've somewhat been able to conclude that the answer is in the middle, nearing no a-holes here. I definitely could have been more subtle in my wording, and I understand more clearly after a talk with my wife why she was upset. It was tough hearing the truth from her husband so brutally with all of the stress she's been under. To let everyone know she's yet to be officially diagnosed. Well, then she really shouldn't be saying accommodations. Recent understanding of the conditions. She just has several friends with similar tendencies that have been. Work has just picked up recently due to various reasons, and it's affecting her more than usual. She's trying not to use ADHD as an excuse. It was just a conversation we had. Our marriage and relationship has a lot of bumps and stress, but at the end of every disagreement, we are able to move forward and improve, even if only very slightly. Professional help is something we've considered, but haven't quite pulled the trigger on. I think this time we'll be okay. Also, sorry, spelling. Thank you for apologizing for that absolutely atrocious spelling. Sorry, bad joke. Okay, no, that's good. I figured that it was a bad joke. But I'm kind of like, let people be and identify however they want to be and identify. So I also don't want to just be presumptive. Like, I don't like, it doesn't bother me at all. But my brain was like, hold on. Okay, so I must say, first of all, I absolutely love the ones with the updates. I love, like, I can't just leave it at what happened. What was the outcome of this? I need to know. Like, tell me everything. Are you still together? Did you get divorced? Are they doing therapy? Are they trying to use it? Like, my judgment is that the partner is not the a-hole, and that, like, the one who posted and the one who wanted to use ADHD without even being diagnosed. Sorry, I don't mind if you are in the process of trying to get a diagnosis or whatever, but you can't just use accommodations for something that you don't even medically have. That's a bit cheeky. Imagine me being like, well, I have similar tendencies as, I don't know, I can't think of a good example now. You can't, whatever the answer is, you can't just use, like, because sometimes she's like her friends. This is why people with ADHD struggle with people who are self-diagnosing, because what if some of her friends have just told her the cute, quirky things about ADHD and not the really hard parts? And so she thinks, like, if she can't focus and work gets a bit hard, that now she has ADHD. That's not necessarily the case. You have to look at the big picture. What is it affecting? How much of your life? How many symptoms? There's a whole 18-question test that you have to do. And it's fine if you self-diagnose so that you then go and get the help or make the accommodations yourself. But you can't just tell other people to accommodate you if you're not diagnosed. Like, what the heck? It's freaking rude. I don't know why that made me so angry, but that was just like, I don't ask for accommodations. I get by just fine.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing is, first of all, do you need them?
Right?
That's the first thing is, in your job, do you need the accommodations, or can you muddle through well enough? You know, it's like saying, hey, I need you to build me a wheelchair ramp, but I'm not in a wheelchair yet, but I'm going to be.
That's
So
the best example.
make me a wheelchair ramp, and then I'll just walk up and down it until I actually need to use it for a wheelchair. Well, who knows when that's going to happen? So
Exactly. I was trying to think of an example with being blind, like I'm going to need you to put everything in Braille because I might go blind, but like I don't know if I am. I've never actually asked a doctor about it. It's just something that I thought of one day, like it could be really useful. You don't do that. That's not how it works. Like, if her other colleagues are reaching deadlines, or like, if she thinks, I can understand that in a lot of places, including the US, it is not easy to get a diagnosis, and it can be expensive, it can be lengthy, it can be whatever. But it doesn't even sound like she's like started the process or tried. She's just like, well, my friends have these same problems. Yeah, a lot of people, when they can't focus, like a lot of people, when the deadlines are hard and work is too much, can't focus. That does not mean they have ADHD. That just means the deadlines might be unrealistic and they may be too stressed to focus because stress does things to the brain. I come from an Irish background where most problems are solved with a big meal. Do you know what? Here's a funny story, Colm, since you're new. I recently traveled to Edinburgh to find my roots, in inverted commas, of course, because like I'm South African, but my family are all Scottish. My ancestors, like very far back. Anyway, got there, bought a book about my surname, found out actually the McCullums are Irish, told my mom about it. Yesterday we're at the restaurant, I'm Googling her name, because also we were told that there's a family castle in our name. It's a 2-story brick house, by the way. It's not a castle. So we're looking at my mom's family that had a castle that actually looks like a castle that we have zero access to. But we're looking at that. Turns out my mom's Scottish ancestors also are Irish. But up till now, everything can be solved with a cup of tea. I don't know what the Irish part is going to be like now that we're in this weird identity, like crisis mode. But in general, whatever's happening, cup of tea, you'll be fine. A little bit extra sugar, good to go. Better than a glass of wine, which is what I used to choose. So do we have three no a-holes? All three were first one, expected family and friends to change. Boyfriend was one that everybody sucked there. Second one, the ADHD girlfriend was awful. So that was not the a-hole. And then the third one, I'm going to name them an a-hole for saying textual conversation, first of all. But in the grand scheme of things, their wife actually wanting to use accommodations that she was not supposed to use 100%. They will be fighting, and then the drunken songs. Oh, well, then we're all good to go. I can't partake in the drunken part of it, but that sounds like a average weekend. Another thing about the McCallums is they are famous for being two brothers who lived on, there's a hill here and a hill a little further away, and there was a battle in the middle, and a bunch of people were killed, only to find out that the clashing clans were brothers, and they didn't know. They're both too stubborn to give up. So I guess we got that in our history too. Pretty wild. If it's true. Alrighty, I'm gonna actually play the song one more time because I didn't do it in between the verdicts. So
2, 3, 4. Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
I freaking love that thing so much. Every time I play it, I'm like, oh, this is so good, if I may say so myself. Anyway, Sim, thank you. Great to meet
How did
you.
your rap song turn out?
It's sitting in a draft.
Okay.
I think Steve rabbit holed on it. He finished it. And then he sent it to me. And then I was going to revisit it. And then I started making court streams in iMovie and I forgot it existed.
Ah, okay.
They lived on different hills. There was a fight between the hills. They found out they were brothers. Then the war really started. So in Irish, exactly. But also, like, the McCallum family just moved to wherever they wanted and was like, this is my land. So us landing up in South Africa in the 1800s is not really that surprising that they were not actually from Scotland, because they had just decided that part of Scotland was theirs. Like, not surprising. Not the part of my history I'm that proud of or proud of at all. But just wanted to mention that it's kind of like people being surprised that Darth Vader was the dad. Like, it's in the name, you know. Could have figured that one out. Oh, well, I guess not everyone has fathered as father, because that's, for us, it's Afrikaans, it's the same. And German and Dutch.
It's not that in German. It's Vater in German.
Oh.
Close, but it's not the same.
Yeah, because for us in Afrikaans and then Dutch, so then it'll be Dutch that's the same. Because Afrikaans is German and Dutch mixed. Though the more I learn about German, the more I realize it's not. It's mostly just Dutch.
Yeah. Dutch has a lot of J's and K's.
Yes, same as Afrikaans. So like a small version of something in Afrikaans will be like, say, phone, it would be phone-kie, which is like TJIE. No? I don't know. It's been a lot of years since I did Afrikaans, but you get the picture.
Well, yeah, come on. Boer Wars, where boer means farmer.
Yeah.
It's Dutch. I don't see how they even say German.
Did it not have to do with the settlers? I really need to brush up on my South African history. Like, it is shocking. I've realized the more I do these streams that, like, I don't know South African history as well as I used to. But also when I did history in high school, it was like the Cold War and how it affected South Africa, the fall of the USSR and how it affected South Africa. Like, they didn't actually think of, like, they didn't actually put the South African history properly yet, because it was still being balanced out while it was being rewritten. Are we discriminating against people who have mechanical fathers? Well, I don't have one, so I guess I can't answer.
What is a mechanical father?
Darth Vader, I guess. Isn't he human beneath?
Yeah, I don't know, is he cyborg or is he or is he on life support?
You know, my family is absolutely Star Wars mad. But apparently none of them listen, or they would be screaming at me and correcting me. But that's good to know. So YouTube is giving me, like, I mean, Google is giving me very high level answers. Here's an easy one. 68.85% man. Biomechanical assisted life support suit. So when I said higher level answers, that's kind of what I was meaning. Like, I just wanted to know, is he human? Yes. No. But I guess that makes sense. Oh, I hope my brother doesn't listen to this. He will literally disown me.
No, ask him his opinion.
I think he'll probably think that I should know because I watched Star Wars enough with him. But I probably wasn't actually watching. I was probably just pretending. Like I do with football. Whenever I watch football with someone like, or soccer,
Okay,
I'll be like, yeah, go.
using Wikipedia as the source, it says Wikipedia. It says Darth Vader's mask incorporated life support technology because due to his injuries, he could not breathe on his own. So Darth Vader is on life support.
All right, listen, I'm gonna put the StreamYard thing. Raymondo, if you wanna explain this to us, you can. However, I am going to have to set like a 10-minute timer. Not because it's Star Wars. I don't mind going down whatever rabbit hole we need to go down to have a complete conversation. I don't mind.
Queen. You just need to go
Queen. Oh yeah. I thought you said the Queen. I'm like, oh yeah. When you said that, I was like, dark humor.
No.
6 feet under.
Oh no. You have not seen the depths of my dark humor.
I think that people underestimate how dark newsroom humor is, but because it's like not a good thing to say out in the world, I tend to like, I have a pretty good filter on it because also like I worked in radio, so you can't think before you speak, really. You're thinking and speaking at the same time. Sucker, are we Americans? Yes, I think majority of my chat is American. However, I am South African, and here, if we're watching anything European or UK related, then we call it football. If we're watching our teams, which we don't, then it's soccer. And like if you're having a conversation, that's how someone would distinguish, right? Like if you say, "Oh, did you watch the soccer?" You know they're talking about Bafana Bafana or Banyana Banyana. If you say, "Did you watch the football?" It's probably like Man United versus Liverpool or Arsenal, or we kind of know what the situation is there.
So what is it if it's Olympics?
I think that would be football then, because the thing is, it's the so like UEFA is football league, so we call it football. But I think it was the Soccer World Cup. Yeah, it was the 2010 Soccer World Cup when it was here. I also don't know why. Don't know why it didn't play a sound when you were in the green room or whatever it's called. I was just checking. Not the Hand Egg World Cup. Wait, I can get this one. I just need to put myself into British humor. Hand egg. Might be a bit late at night for me to get this one, because I was just like, I need to use my humor, and my brain is like the sound of crickets, like no brain left here.
He's referring to the shape of a football and that you use hands and very little feet.
Okay. I'm glad you followed that train. Because I could not. Raymondo, you're still around because you are now on how many minutes? You got 6 minutes to explain Star Wars if you want to.
Well, I'll head out, but I'll still be listening.
Okay, well, thank you so much for hanging out. It's really cool to have people jump in. Like, it's a fun vibe, and I thank you for doing the disclaimer. First person I've actually remembered to bring it up for.
Oh, that's fun to play with those things.
Yeah. And we do the best. Otherwise, there's... Oh, Sim, I think you accidentally hit exit like a bit early. Raimondo, you're now on 5 minutes. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer. Just in case, so I don't go over. Where do you want me to begin with Star Wars? You're supposed to explain the human versus... You're supposed to explain Vader, whether he's human or not. If you click the StreamYard link up there, scroll up. I don't know what that noise was. Then you should be able to join, and it should ping in my ear, hopefully. I have like game show music that I use for one of my recent court streams. That actually would be perfect. Where did I save it? Probably in effects. Wait, how do I add these things again? Add music. Oh, it's frozen, so I'm sorry if it's dropped. I just need to add this thing. What happens if I click the link? You should get invited. It should bring you into the back to the room thing of StreamYard, and then I can allow you in, set the timer while the timer's going, but it should allow you into StreamYard, and then you can talk like not text, like Sim was. I'm going to put content warning grown-up language just in case you figure it out before. Oh! I'll actually play this now because it's kind of funny that like we're waiting to see. Too soft. Ah. Got you. I don't think your mic is attached. Let's see. Say something? I got no mic for you. If you... I'm going to remove you and I'm going to add you again. Okay. Try now. Can't hear you still. Trying to like lip read what you were saying. So on your side, at the bottom, there's like me, and then there's probably you just below where we are. There might be a thing there that says something like mute or unmute. Okay, so now I can see you're muted. There you are unmuted. Not connecting. I don't even think I can edit your settings. Let's see. Oh gosh. Hi. I think it's because you haven't added your audio to the StreamYard, and that's why it's not picking up. I don't know how to make the mic work. Gotcha. Okay, I just saw your comment. I'm not. Can you bring it a bit closer? So I think so. I'm trying to remember. I did the wrong thing with this the first time. I'm not good at this. Does your YouTube channel have a studio attached? Like, have you set your YouTube channel as like an actual channel you can upload on? Wait, I have an idea. Oh, we just had you. Whatever you did there, a mic came on. I don't know what you did, but I heard a mic. I do have an idea though. Do I have you on Instagram? I don't think I do. I'm just thinking of a way to because like the easiest thing to do here would be to use a different platform and share the screen. That would be the easiest. Maybe I have a burner. Wait, I have an idea. I have an idea. Oh, I can't even read that writing. I'm sending a Google link. Do you have Google Meet? Because I'm going to send it, and then once you join, I'm going to quickly delete it. So if you click that link, that should work. Everyone else watching like, what is this mime show? I want to put this back because it's funny. There was something again. There was audio again. Okay, I need to join Google Meet. All right. I'm in. No, wrong one. That's me saying wrong one. Okay. Got you. Admit. Now, before you speak, I just want to quickly say present screen. How's this? Streamception. What? All right, what if you speak now? You can see me, but I can't hear you. You're talking? This is like a game of, it's like a, oh, brilliant. This feels like a game of, what is that thing called where you have to guess and you can't even tell me because I'd have to guess it? Charades. Okay, you're gonna have to save your Star Wars knowledge and probably figure out something like joining with your phone or with earphones or something, because I have to go do chores. But I'm all for going down the rabbit hole. You can explain it to me. Don't mind. Then there won't be a timer. And I won't have to play charades. Charades, Sim's right. Okay, deal. We'll figure it out. To the people who are listening, not watching, I hope that made sense, because I just realized halfway through that I was trying to read what was happening, but I wasn't saying anything. So that was interesting. Well, clicked something wrong there. Okay. Raymondo, I will try again at some point. And Sam, thanks again for hanging out. And if you have chores to do now, this is your reminder that it's chore time. See you guys soon. Bye.